Hello everyone. I've decided to prepare a few revision videos of NCERT. In that series, uh, let us start with the geography NCERT, which are very important from all exam perspectives. This will be a revision series, so focus will be on quickly covering most of the things without going into a lot of details about them, the backgrounds or the concepts. But wherever needed, if there are some tricky concepts, we would uh, discuss that in a little detailed if it is felt that it is required for better understanding. So this is the class ninth. Let us see if how it goes and accordingly we will plan. So class ninth NCERTs we will start with. So the contents. So the book starts with India. So it is focusing on Indian geography, right? We are not going for physical geography here, general physical geography. We are focusing on Indian geography. Okay, and India, size and location. That is the start point generally in geography. Physical features of India, drainage, climate, natural vegetation, and wildlife. So most of these is physical only. Population. The last part is economic or human geography. Last chapter. So starting with the India size and location. So India is one of the ancient civilizations in the world. It has achieved multifaceted socioeconomic progress during the last 5 decades. India's ancient civilizations in the world, it has achieved multifaceted socio-economic progress during the last 5 decades. It has moved forward, displaying remarkable progress in the field of agriculture, industry, technology, and overall economic development. India has also contributed significantly to the making of world history. So it is setting context overall. And if you see, geography is connected with all the subjects. If you see, geography will lie at the heart of the history because history is kind of shaped by the geography. Politics, international relations, they are shaped by the geography. So in world history again, the because of the geography of India, it cannot be ignored in the creation of world history. It has played remarkable strategic roles in shaping that. Location. India is a vast country laying entirely in the northern hemisphere. Okay, so that we all know. This is the equator, right? And in the northern hemisphere, here it is, India in yellow colors. The mainland extends between 8 degree. Now this is important data that will again repeat 8 degree north, 8 degree in 4 minutes north, and 37 degree 6 minutes. 8 degree, so that will be the southern part, 8 degree north, and 37 degree 6 minutes, that would be the northern extent of the India. Okay, and longitudinal extent, that will be the again these are the latitudes and these are the longitudes. We know these things, these are basic concepts. So longitudinally 68 degrees 7 minutes, that will be the western extent, and 97 degree 25 minutes, that will be the easternmost extent of India. So again, if you see the spread, that is roughly around 30 degrees in both longitudinally as well as latitudinally, but that is a very rough figure, rounded figure. The Tropic of Cancer divides the country into almost two equal parts, which is 23 degree. The Tropic of Cancer, almost it will go in between somewhere here, right? This is the Tropic of Cancer. To the southeast and southwest of the mainland lie the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, southeast and southwest, and the Lakshadweep. So that we know already. So somewhere here you have Andaman Nicobar Islands, and somewhere here you have Lakshadweep Islands. Okay, in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea respectively. Find out the extent of these groups of islands from your atlas. So again, what is the longitudinal, but more specifically latitudinal extent of these islands or island groups? So that you have to find out from the atlas, or that is also available in the 11th class Indian geography. size. Uh, did you know the southernmost? Do you know? Those are also very interesting things, and we should not ignore if anything of that sort comes in between the chapter. The southernmost point of the Indian Union, Indira Point, got submerged under the seawater in 2004 during the tsunami. The landmass of India has an area of, again, a factual figure that is important to have some. If you have idea of these facts, then sometimes you can make a good guesswork in the exam. 3.28 million square kilometers. 3.28 million square kilometers. India's total, what is a million? Million is 10 lakhs. Okay. In Indian system, 10 lakh is referred to as 1 million. So 3.28 million, that will be 32.8 lakh kilometers square. Hmm. For about, and India's total area accounts for 2.4% of the total geographical, that is 2.4% of the area of the world. So similarly, when we make comparison with population versus land that India has, population land ratio. So such comparisons can be made if you know what is the percentage. If you know them in percentage terms. For example, you have 2.4% land, but how much percentage of population? One sixth, around one sixth population resides, right? It is clear that India is seventh largest country of the world, and with this percentage of land, it is the seventh largest country. So this begs the question: whenever you read such thing, it begs question: which is the largest geographically? So that is again something that should make you curious, and you should try to find out. Okay. India has a land boundary of about 15,200 kilometers. That is again a good important figure. Land boundary is not the total boundary. It's only land boundary, which is 15,200 kilometers. Total length of the coastline. Length of the coastline of the mainland. Coastline now, because some island groups are also part of India, mainland, including Andaman and Lakshadweep. Okay. So now the figure given here that includes coastline of island groups also, which are Andaman and Lakshadweep mainly. So that is around 7,516.6. If you see again, almost half of the land boundary, that is the coastline. So such techniques such comparative approach you can use to have some idea at least, or remembering the data. That will help you. India is bounded by the Young Fold Mountains in the northwest. Young Fold Mountains in the northwest. Northwest. Where is northwest? Northwest is this part of India. If this is the India, hmm, so this will be the northwest part. So northwest, north and northeast. North and northeast. So all these are, so these are Himalayas. Okay, we already know these things. Hmm. South of about 22-degree north latitude. South of about 22-degree north latitude, it begins to taper and extends towards the Indian Ocean, dividing into two seas, the Arabian Sea. Hmm. Arabian Sea. So again, it is talking about India. So India, what it is doing, it is extending towards Indian Ocean and dividing. So if this was India, it is extending towards Indian Ocean. This is Indian Ocean, and it is dividing Indian Ocean into Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, right? So that's what is being talked here. Now, look at figure 1.3 and note that the latitudinal and longitudinal, figure 1.3 that is. So this is figure 1.3. So you have detailed map here. Okay, so you can look at this carefully to assess the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of India. And note the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of the mainland is about 30 degrees. That's what we discussed. Both latitudinal as well as longitudinal around 30 degrees. Despite this fact, the east-west extent appears to be smaller than the north-south extent. So what it is saying is that though both are, hmm, we will have to reduce the size to see the complete image. What it is saying is that though longitudinal extent, that is between this extent as well as this extent is 30 degree, this appears larger. Hmm, latitudinal. And why this happens? So if you have the concept of uh, how latitudes are spaced in between and how longitudes are spaced, you will be better able to understand this. So for this, suppose I go to the previous map. This will be more illustrative. See what this happens, because if you see the difference distance between two latitudes, it will always be same wherever the latitude is located. Two consecutive latitudes will be spaced similarly. Okay, similar distance. But if you see the two distance between two longitudes, suppose this and this, so distance here is larger than distance here. Okay, so that's why India is slightly in the north. If it was at the equator, then distance would have been around same as latitude. But as it is in the northern side, hmm, so as you move to any either side, northern or southern, as you move polewards, the distance between two longitudes will reduce in comparison to latitude, which is spaced similarly wherever you go. Okay, so that is the reason. Now coming to the next passage, which says from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh, there is a time lag of 2 hours. So this again you must have studied. As we move from one language longitude to another, there will be a time lag because the sun rises from the east and it moves towards west, and as sun moves, that's how the time zone will change. Okay, so Gujarat being the westernmost extent of India and Arunachal Pradesh the easternmost. What is the difference? So that is around 2 hours. Okay, hence time along the standard meridian of India, 82 degree 30, and again a good figure that you should know, 82 degree 30 minutes east. That is the standard meridian of India, and which are the important cities, states through which this standard meridian passes. So these are some of the factual GK stuffs that will help you in the all kinds of exams, directly or indirectly. Passing through Mirzapur. So one data is given that it passes through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh is taken as standard time for the whole country. Okay, so even if you are in Arunachal Pradesh, you will follow the time zone of this standard time. Whatever time is happening, that is taken as standard for whole of India. The latitudinal extent influences the duration of day and night as one moves from the south to north. So again, a figure which is important from the how day and night takes place. Hmm. So on the equator, how day and night will be there, and as you move towards pole, you know that in on the poles you have 6 month day, 6 month nights, and that is not so at the equator, right? That we know. So gradually it will change as we move from pole to equator to pole. So certainly the duration of day and night is changing. So that's what it is being alleged here. The the latitudinal extent, okay, latitude, equator to pole, influences the duration of day and night as one moves from south to north. Okay, find out. So some task is being given, and you should try to do this. Why 82 degree 30 east has been selected as the standard meridian? You have to find it out. Why is the difference between the durations of day and night hardly felt at Kanyakumari but not so in Kashmir? Again, a question for you. So these questions will clarify if you have the basics of geography right or not, if you have understood them or not. India and the world. Now we are locating India with respect to the world. The Indian landmass has a central location between the East and the West Asia. Central location between the East and West Asia. India is a southward extension of the Asian continent. So we will locate it in the Asia. We will need a world map. Hmm. So central location. So if you see between the East Asia, which will be around here, and West Asia, which will be around here, it is in the. If you see, it is centrally located, and it is also in the southern part of Asia. This is Asia, and this is the southern part. Next, the Trans-Indian Ocean routes. The Trans-Indian Ocean routes, which connect the countries of Europe. Hmm. Trans-Indian Ocean routes, Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia provide a strategic central location to India. Now it is not talking about only central location of India, strategic central location. Why it is strategic location also, that is also being told. That Trans-Indian Ocean routes which connect the countries of Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia. So again, if we refer to the map, we have Europe here and we have East Asian countries here, right? East Asian countries are these East Asian as well as Southeast Asian. So the route, we know that one is Suez Canal, through Suez Canal, and it will go from here Malacca Strait to East Asian countries. So this route is passing through India, Andaman Nicobar. These are there. So India is strategically placed here, location wise. So the thing that is being said is that you need uh, Indian support, or India needs to establish security mechanisms in this region for these trade routes to function properly. Even if you see Suez Canal nowadays, it is facing some problems. Then also the old route that is passes through Cape of Good Hope and again comes to here or from here. So again this is going via Indian Ocean only and Strait of Malacca. So again, Andaman Nicobar is near here. India is strategically placed to ensure security of net security. That's why you will see in international relations it is said that India is the net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. Okay, and through these important trade routes and huge amounts of trade takes place through these Indian Ocean routes for China, Japan, and everything. Next is note that the Deccan Peninsula protrudes into the Indian Ocean, again part of physical geography, thus helping India to establish close contact with the West Asia, hmm, Africa, and Europe from the western coast, and Southeast and East Asia from the eastern coast. So the same thing is there. So if you know a little bit about the ancient history of India, through the western coast, India used to trade with Arabs, Africans, and Europeans. This route was not there, Europeans or through Arabs. And the eastern coast, Southeast Asia, even Rajendra Cholas, etc., had uh, created their own influenced empires, their political empires uh, in Southeast Asian countries, as well as with trade with these up to even Russia, Russia's easternmost uh, regions, for example, Vladivostok, etc. India does trade with these through these routes. Okay. Next, we will move to it is India's eminent position in the Indian Ocean, which justifies the naming of the ocean after it. Okay, obvious. Do you know since the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, when did Suez Canal open? That's again a good figure from world history wise, from economic history of world. If you read industrialization, then it is important. If you study colonialism, spread of colonialism, then it is important. Neo-colonialism, then it is important. Suez Canal. India's distance from Europe has been reduced by 7,000 kilometers. So the traditional route would be through via Cape of Good Hope. So that was a longer route. And in recent times, uh, if you see in recent times, Russia is trying to open another route. So that could be a future route with Europe. So that is the Arctic route. If this route opens up due to global warming and new technology is being used by Russia to cut the ice and create a route here, just like through Suez Canal was created. So then India will have another route to reach to the northern European regions, okay? And if nothing else, Russia for surely. Okay, so moving on to the next passage, which is so these are the trade routes, and these are also being shown here. You see, Suez Canal, route through Suez Canal that is here, and then you have western coast of India, eastern coast of India. This is Andaman and Nicobar, and this is Strait of Malacca. So if you see the strategic location of Andaman and Nicobar, and to with the Strait of Malacca, which is a crucial choke point for these international trade routes, maritime trade routes, and this is the East Asian countries, and you have Southeast Asian countries here, even to the Australia and New Zealand. If you see, the trade route is going there also. India's contacts with the world have continued through ages, but her relationships through the land routes are much older. Land routes are much older than her maritime contacts. So land routes, you see, you should have, you must have heard Silk Route. Okay, Silk Route, and that is also being propagated in recent times by China again. So uh, that was in the ancient times. Silk Route to trade with China. Similarly, with Middle East, Central Asia, the routes, traditional land routes were there. Even up to Europe, the trade used to go through Arabian countries. Hmm. The various passes across the mountains in the north, and these were through passes in the mountains in the north, provided passage to the ancient travelers. Hmm. So travelers also used to visit, and they have written extensively about the ancient and medieval India, while the oceans restricted such interaction for a long time. These routes have contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since ancient times. The ideas of Upanishads and the Ramayana, the stories of Panchatantra, the Indian numerals. So Indian numerals, etc., were translated by Arabs, and then they reached the Romans. Hmm. So you will find that the decimals influence was there. Decimal, which was discovered in the decimal system, sorry, that was discovered in the India that traveled to Europe through via the Arabs, could reach many parts of the world. The spices, muslin, and other merchandise were taken from India to different countries. On the other hand, the influence of Greek sculpture. So this relation was to and fro. We influenced and we got influenced. So Greek sculpture we find in Gandhara art, in the architectural styles of dome and minarets from West Asia. Again, with several of the medieval monuments, for example, Taj Mahal itself is an example of that. Lal Killa is example of that. Dome and minarets can be seen in different parts of our country. India occupies an important strategic position in South Asia. So South Asia, India is the uh, central node of South Asia. If you study international relations, also. So in South India's subcontinent is basically called Indian subcontinent because of this. India has 28 states. Now this is again a figure, and 9 unions. So this has changed. This figure, what is the current figure? You let me know. The number of UTs along the western and eastern coast. So again, a task is being given. Number of UTs you have to find out along the western and eastern coasts. For example, Daman and Div and Nagar and Haveli. So similarly, you have to find out this is on the western coast. Similarly, find out other UTs which are located on the both sides of the coasts. Area wise, which is the small things, tasks are being given, and questions can be framed from these areas. Smallest area wise, smallest and largest state. The states which do not have an international border lie on the coast. So, which states are there which do not have any international boundary or maritime international boundary? And how many such states are there? Such questions. Classify the states into four groups, each having common frontiers with Pakistan. So, again, which states are sharing boundary with Pakistan, which China, which Myanmar, and which Bangladesh. So, these will help you in the exam if you do them properly. Okay. India shares its land boundaries with Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest. Land boundaries we are not talking about. Shares with Pakistan and Afghanistan. So if you see currently the region which is POK, which is referred to as POK, which is under control of Pakistan, and Chinese CPEC project is also passing through that area. So that is the reason which is in contact with Afghanistan. So you must be following the news that India cannot directly trade and the trucks have to pass through Pakistan before reaching the Afghanistan. That happens if we share the boundary. Why it is happening? It is happening because the region that touches the Afghanistan is under control of Pakistan right now. Forced occupation is there. China in the northwest, China, Tibet, Nepal, and Bhutan in the north. In north, we share boundary with China. Okay, Tibet is there, part of China, Nepal, and Bhutan. So these are the northern neighbors. Then we have Myanmar in the eastern and Bangladesh in the east. These are eastern neighbors. बांग्लादेश तो घिरा हुआ है इंडिया से. Bangladesh is surrounded by Indian states. So that again is another task that you can find out how many states are in touch with Bangladesh, which has the largest boundary with Bangladesh, and so on. Our southern neighbors across the sea consist of two island countries, namely, so southern neighbors. Southern side we have Indian Ocean, and Indian Ocean. In Indian Ocean we have two island groups, island countries, which are near about. We're not going very far. So before that, we will just read this. Before 1949, there were two types of states in India: the provinces and the princely states. Provinces were ruled directly by the British officials who were appointed by the viceroy. Princely states were ruled by local hereditary rulers who acknowledged sovereignty in return for local autonomy. So this is a some fact which links the Indian history with the geography. Okay, it's about states, provinces, division, political division of India. Actually, you could say. So Sri Lanka and Maldives, these are the island countries that we have in the southern side. Okay, Maldives again in news in recent times. Sri Lanka is separated from India by a narrow channel of sea formed by the Park Strait. So Park Strait is what? It separates India from Sri Lanka. Again, a very important region from biodiversity as well. Park Strait, if you see many unique animals are found, endemic unique species are found here. Sea cow, for example, and the Gulf of Mannar. So Gulf of Mannar is also something that is again biodiversity point of view very important area. While Maldives Islands are situated to the south of the Lakshadweep Islands. So Lakshadweep Island again that is in news. So the south of that is the Maldives. India has had strong geographical and historical links with her neighbors. So geographically and historically, if you see, the links are very strong. Geographically, you will find that there are many contentions also because of this complex interlinkage. So because political boundaries could be there, but physically and geographically the boundaries may not be very relevant. Suppose there is a river in between two countries. Now it's very difficult to create a boundary between two countries on the rivers. Okay, so that creates some problems as well. So it shows that geographically, uh, geographically very difficult to create such boundaries, but politically there are. So we have geographical linkage, historical linkage. So again, there is so much cultural similarities. There were many various times when such countries, our neighboring countries, were part of India only. You know, so there are historical linkages, and there have been cultural links with those countries. So many marriage relations take place between India and Nepal and neighboring regions. So such links are there. Look at the physical map of Asia in your atlas and note how India stands apart from the rest of Asia. Physical map of Asia in your atlas and note how India stands apart from the rest of Asia. So again, that point is being raised that if you compare with all of the Asia, the Indian region, Indian subcontinent region, that is geographically that would stand apart. Okay, because there is some separation because of Himalaya from other influences that other Asian countries might share. Then you have rich climatic um, zones that are found here, and so many differences that you will so which makes India a very unique place in Asia. So do you know School Bhuvan is a portal providing School Bhuvan? So again, an information is a portal providing map based learning to bring awareness among students about the country's natural resources, environment, and their role in sustainable development. It is an initiative of Bhuvan. What is Bhuvan? Bhuvan is NRSC ISRO based NCRT on NCRT syllabus. You can explore various maps of India related to secondary stage on SDU Bhuvan. So link has been given, and very important, interactive way of learning will always be more uh, solid from the point of view of memory. When you interact with a map and then learn about it. But Atlas, there is no replacement for Atlas viewing, which is the traditional method, pen and paper method. So now these are the questions that are given behind the chapter after the chapter, and you're supposed to do attempt these, go through these, and we will meet with the next chapter in next video, which is physical features of India. Okay, thank you. We will next meet in the next lecture now.